We're here in St John's, Hoxton, and the vicar of St John's is Graham Hunter. Graham, you lead this congregation, and but we're at a time when people are questioning political leadership all the time. What's your take on the leadership that you see happening in this day and age?
I think there's a really fascinating thing going on at the moment, which I think Christians need to have a concern about because it's about models of leadership. It's really interesting, the debate around Donald Trump's election last year in the US and about whether Christians could be involved, whether Christians could support Trump, seemed to draw upon a kind of Old Testament tradition around leadership. That thing about God uses flawed leaders. God in his sovereignty can take even adulterers and murderers like David, but also even like foreign national leaders like Darius or Cyrus and or Xerxes, and he can bend his kind of providential will through these pagan or flawed leaders for the good of his people Israel. It's what we sometimes call the heroic leader model that we see in the Old Testament. And I think that that's been kind of at the heart of the language that many people in the church, many Christians have, they've had to speak in these terms to kind of justify their support for this guy, Donald Trump, who president of the United States, but with a sort of a well-known record of misogyny and fraud and all those things. The only way I think Christians are going to get their head around this is by drawing upon those models. Now, interestingly, we don't get that model of leadership in the New Testament. Leadership in the New Testament is collective. It's participative. It's about a new people. It's not about a new person, a hero. In a way, in the New Testament, there are no more heroic leaders. Jesus is our ultimate heroic leader, and in the light of God's incarnation, in the light of God coming among us in his Son Jesus, in his death and his resurrection, we now are a new people, a new society, and our leadership is always going to be collectivist. That's why Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 12 about a body having many parts, all needing one another. Everybody has a role. That's why in Acts 2 we see this new society formed, these people gathered together. That's why the apostles in Acts 6 appoint deacons to oversee the administration of the widows and orphans list and make sure there's proper distribution of goods. It's all done collectively. And actually, whether you follow Paul or Apollos is neither here nor there. You're baptized into Christ, so you're part of a new covenant people, a new family. I think this is a really exciting model of leadership for the church. It's a really exciting model of leadership for our society, and I hope that we can envision a way of doing this as our collective ability to lead in political parties grows.